number 25. Before we do, like,
Yep.
subscribe, help us out. We definitely appreciate it. Like we said, we have entire lists from power forward and center. You can check them out as well. But here we go, number 25. Who do we have?
At number 25, we have someone who actually hasn't played for his team yet. He's been there since last February. We have Justice Winslow, who's only ever played in Miami, but got traded to Memphis in that Iggy Iguodala trade, and then got hurt and hasn't played, and he'll miss the start of the season. But he still makes our top 25.
Yeah, I mean, usually when you're talking about a guy who seems as injury prone as Winslow and he isn't, I guess, a top level talent, it's almost questionable into how he's in the top 25. But it just feels like overall he is a really good player. He's very versatile. Kind of could just do a bit of everything, and he obviously hasn't not only reached his potential, but obviously not had a chance to shown it either, really. So once he gets in there, obviously he's had a couple closer to full years in Miami. But for the most part, I mean, going back to 4 years ago, again, had the injury problems, only played in 15 games, and then again, only playing in five, or sorry, 11 last year, starting in five. So, I mean, again, this is a guy who needs to stay healthy to clearly show he belongs. And then from there, hopefully we could get a better gauge on him, but I still think he definitely belongs in the top 25.
Well, yeah, overall, when he's healthy, he's a great player. He's one of the better defensive small forwards in the league. He's versatile. He can guard any guard, essentially guard most forwards as well. He's someone who's going to move the ball for you. He's going to be, if he's not your lead ball handler, he's a damn good secondary ball handler, which is where he's going to thrive in Memphis. With Ja Morant there, he's taking the reins most of the time. It's going to be nice to have that. As much as he's not an older player, he has been in the league. This will be his about sixth year. He has been in the league a while. It feels like he's been around for a long time because he's put up decent numbers for his whole career. But he's really enhanced his assists, his rebounds. He's gets in the right spots. He's going to play really good in Memphis if he can get healthy. That's the biggest question.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, overall, looking at it too, very similar to the guy who replaced him, Jimmy Butler, in the sense, like we said, he does everything. Obviously, not as great offensively, or maybe not just
He
the
never had the chance to shine.
exactly. Maybe obviously Jimmy Butler's still
He's
the
not
better
that
player
good.
right
Yeah,
now.
of course.
But I mean, they tied with each other for rebounds for third with 6.6 per game, even though Winslow did play limited amount. And with that too, I mean, eighth in assists for Winslow among small forwards. So in that regard, that's a guy again who could obviously do all the things he can. Aside from the obviously injury-prone thing too, even though again it was limited games, a guy who tends to get a lot of fouls. He was near the top of the league with 3.5 per game last year. Again, just being more disciplined in that regard, but he is aggressive, so it's not something you could always fault as well. Sometimes on the defensive end, it's what you need, especially a team like Memphis, who they really kind of need that
They
grit.
can use a hard-nosed player.
Exactly, because they do have so much skill and talent around. That's really where Winslow kind of gets to use those different skills on him. And then to his long range, I mean, 101st overall among small forwards with 22%, and he shot it 2.5 times too. He's got to at least pick good shots or pick shots he can make if he wants to be above this 25 position for a long-standing time.
Yeah, well, I think that last year was his stats were really kind of a one-off for him. I think he's shown in his career that he can shoot the ball. He can limit his turnovers. He's done these things, limit his fouls. He never actually gotten over three until last year. He was played injured in the 11 games he did play. It wasn't a great 11 games, and that team really shown that they didn't really have the fit for him at the time. Anyways, that they were how they played after he was injured. But with that being said, he's still a great player, like you said. He actually could be a much higher on this list. He's very similar to a lot of people we have ranked between 15 and 20. I I think that's where he belongs. But again, he just has to be healthy.
Yeah, and I mean what we've seen from him when he was healthy. I mean, looking at October, how he did was, which was probably the month that he obviously had no wear and tear. He might have been most healthy last October. He played obviously only in 4 games, not a huge amount to go off of, but he was a guy who was averaging 15 points and 8.5 rebounds along with his 6 assists per game in those 4 games in October. So if he could put up anything along 14, 8, and 6, I mean, that's a guy.
Fantastic.
Yeah, that's a guy who we're considering much higher than that 25 position, especially if he could put in at least 60 games this year. That would be awesome, especially again for a team like Memphis.
Heck, this position is not the strongest position in the league.
Yeah.
That he put the most on the numbers throughout the whole season. Playing every game, that guy can get him in the top 10.
Absolutely. But maybe. I mean, that's a discussion that will
Close,
probably come for it. If he puts it up, we'll see how it is next year. But for now, Justin Winslow
potentially.
is in right at the start of our list, number 25.
That's exactly it.